Hi guys. How you doing today? I am so excited that I get to do this interview, this video podcast for the channel today. One of my favorite people in the world, um, Leslie Moore, was telling me about this incredible lady that she knew who lived in Hawaii, where that was like basically had the nicest vibes that she knew of anyone. Her name's Edy Hall. And a couple weeks ago, I got to do a course with Edie. And I agreed with Leslie. I thought she couldn't have been cooler if she tried. So I asked Edie if she would take some time out to chat with me about her life, where she's from, her story, and how that can help you, what that means to you, and how you can learn from Edie and live a life with that beautiful joy. We don't all get to live in Hawaii, but we can have some of that beautiful Edie energy. So I'm gonna bring Edie in now, and look forward to talking to her. Hey, Edie.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Really good. Thank
So
you.
where are you right now to make everybody jealous?
I'm on the southeast side of the island of Hawaii, the big island in the rainforest. I have about an acre and a two-story house. So I'm kind of like in the bird zone. Yeah.
Very beautiful. And how long have you lived in Hawaii?
I've lived here permanently since 2006, and I started coming here in 1981, and I would come for 2 to 3 months per year to surf and to
Very,
travel the islands.
so beautiful. I want to ask you so many surfing questions, but so let's start with your origins. Where did you grow up? Where are you from? What is your ethnic background? All this stuff. What's Edie's origin story?
Well, my dad had Blackfoot Indian in him and French Canadian, and my mom was 100% Puerto Rican, and my father was in the World War II, and they met on the island. And she told the story of he was her American hero, and he told this story of she was my island princess. And I grew up in Southern California. Um, an idyllic childhood, really, for me especially. I was able to play a lot of softball, ride motorcycles. I was the youngest of a large family. And I was bright and gifted in my intelligence, and uh, learned a lot and observed a lot. And then I joined the military when I was 17. I graduated high school early, and it was just after the Vietnam War was winding down and almost over. And I figured, after seeing all of the young men in my neighborhood go away by being drafted and not coming back, or if they did come back, they were damaged, totally different, that maybe I could occupy a space in the military and then one young man wouldn't have to be drafted.
How long were you in the military for?
4 years, just four
Okay.
years. And I traveled all over. I went to Europe and throughout the Southwest, and then a little bit in the Southeast. And when I got out, I got on a boat my brother had built, and we sailed from San Diego to Hawaii. Uh, there was just three of us, and it was a great way to decompress from the military. I read a really good book called Cosmic Consciousness by Richard Burke, and it really helped to solidify that what I do is my choice. Happiness is an active choice. You have to work at it. So I had some really horrible things happen to me in the military, and I was broken. And uh, being able to just hear the ocean going by the holes of the boat and being on it, and in really, really rough seas for 22 days, it was life changing. But at that point, I was ready to, like, well, if I die out here, I die. I don't really care. It's all good. Um, because I'm not afraid to die. Because when I was 15, I was in a motorcycle wreck and I died on the scene, and then talked to my higher power, and what they told me was the choice is yours. Because I was like, well, what's going on? And he's like, well, yeah, you're going to get in a motorcycle wreck. Yes, if you do this, you'll get hurt this. If you do that, you'll hurt that. But ultimately, if you want to come home, meaning leave this planet, I can. Or if I want to stay, I can. But what really stuck with me was the words, the choice is yours. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. And I was like, well, I've yet to be really begun my mission. So boom, back on Earth, um, looking up into the eyes of this woman who I had great respect for. And like, Mrs. Trotter, what are you doing here? Well, honey, you called for me, and I'm here. And so she was praying over me, and I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. So yeah, I've studied all the religions. But anyway, that's why I'm not afraid to die. And on the sailboat trip, if I had passed, I had passed. But we got here, and it was beautiful. I traveled around for a month, started my lifelong journey of seeking active happiness, no matter what.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. And we got there way quicker than I thought. But is when we were on that course together last week, it's a very intense course called Project Welcome Home Troops. And people that had been on the course, they were saying things, and you kept saying it's a choice, it's active, it's a choice, it's active. And you were, but you live that way. So if you could talk a little bit more about the choice of how you make that choice through all the ups and downs of your life, because you've had so many. And if you could elaborate a little bit more on the near-death experience, because I think that's the most, I didn't even know you'd had that happen as well. So it's quite amazing.
Like anything in life, a clean house, you have to work at it. Happiness, it seems like it's always easier for people to just be down in the dumps. And yet, to me, that takes more energy. So happiness is, you have to work at it. You really do. It's an active choice. That means you have to participate in it. You have to look at the leaves of the tree and be able to see them breathing and enjoy that. You have to I have to do my own breathing exercises. And that's how I got turned on to the Project Welcome Home Troops. Was someone had jumped out at me with a knife, and I could not talk without crying. Um, I was that far into the PTSD where it was debilitating. And I was just searching for tools. And then my counselor through the VA said, hey, here's this program, try this. And it was, it's the tool that has worked for me better than any other tool. Because before that, I was just seeking solitude, seeking serenity. And so surfing was one of the ways I could do that. I could get out by myself and just be with the ocean and nature and um, not feel threatened in any way. As I go into this, all these memories are kind of sidetracking me. Anyway, so this is one of the tools that I have in my toolbox, the breathing exercises, the yoga, um, and I use them on a daily basis because happiness is an active choice. I have to work at it. Um, my near death experience was truly a death experience because they brought me back with CPR on the scene. I remember when I got into the wreck, my body floating up and watching pretty much the whole scene, and then all of a sudden I was in a white light, kind of a blurry but white light tunnel, and that's where I had the conversation, and I'll call it God due to lack of a better word, but it's truly a higher energy, and the most comforting and warm and fuzzy place that I've ever remembered being in or seeing or feeling. And the trust there and the lack of threatening environment was wonderful, and the best that I've ever felt. And making my choice at that time was my commitment to myself and to anybody and everybody that I come in contact with, because I've had cancer 3 times, um, 96, 2003, and then again just in 2023. And each time, I believe that the willpower to live is instrumental in your healing process, but also the laughter, the the different chemicals and such that the laughter brings in your body are healing. So that's an active choice to, instead of dwell on my problems, to watch a comedy, to giggle at my kittens wrestling. Life is a funny thing all the way around. The trees here are these ohia trees, and they're big and tall and skinny with nice, lots of lateral, short branches. So the tree might be 80 foot tall, but the lateral branches are maybe 10 foot. So when the wind blows, they dance, they sway back and forth, and they dance, kind of like dancing the hula. But they don't really usually break like a lot of other trees. And those are, I use those as an example. The wind, the storm, the nastiness will come, but you can dance in it. You can sway with it. You can find the beat in it. And I like to be that living example of how you can live through it to other people. Um, the way they look at me, the way they seek me out for, a lot of times I just listen and offer just a few, whatever comes through. I offer that, as far as words. But more than anything, my mission in life that I found out when I was 15 is to pass on love and help people find their joy. And I've been blessed in my own way to be able to continue to do that. You know, um, doesn't mean that I don't break, because I do. My husband died 8 years ago, and I was crushed. I mean, we were together 24/7 for the 20 years that we were married, and I still consider myself married, but yeah, it was a crushing blow to lose him. Um, and yet, I still made trips to Waikiki to surf and to find my joy and to help other people find their joy as I laughed and encouraged them. I still made trips to my local beach. Uh, I still made trips to mainland. Uh, it, so instead of sitting in my beautiful, peaceful, wonderful spot and kind of tuning out the rest of the world, I made sure that I filled my heart and my spirit with good memories by doing fun things. Um, sure, I would like to share him with him, but he's not here on this side. Although, you know, he comes to me a lot in my dreams. I still smell him. There's plenty of times where I think I hear his voice, or I see him. But the things that really influence me are the smell and the dreams, because like I can reach out and touch his cheek in the dreams, and it feels very real. But
I got
yeah.
goosebumps when you just said that. Like all of my body. One thing I really like to talk about, Edie, and something I think you exemplify really well, is that some people will hear this and be like, oh, well, she lives in Hawaii and she surfs and she's got that beautiful house and she doesn't understand. And so,
Mm-hmm.
she's just, talking to her husband on the other side. Come on. So can you talk about a couple things that I'd like you to just talk about, because I think they're quite powerful when I heard you say them, was about your profession and then what you did, so people know what you did for professionally, and then what you said to the doctor the third time you got cancer, and how he kind of was frustrated and kind of, you were like, whatever. And then the other part of it is, I really liked it when you said a couple weeks ago about that you're not, by choosing to be happy, you're not negating the negative. You're not saying like toxic positivity, like that's not what your vibe is at all. It's so beautiful. So if you could talk about those three, what you did for a profession, and then that conversation with the doctor, which I thought was hilarious, and then the third thing about you acknowledging that there is negativity, but you're making a choice. For the people that are listening that are like, well, that would be nice if I was surfing and living in Hawaii, but I live in Cleveland or I live in Halifax, whatever, for those guys.
Well, our local surf break was taken away by lava in 2018. So there's literally the only surf break here is over an hour away for me now. Um, and during my life, I've had, there was one time where I was so down and out that I lived under a bridge not next to, but close to my favorite surf break. And that's another active choice. Yeah. It's like shit. I'm here on the streets, but uh, might as well be close to where I can put a smile on my face, and that's the active choice. I could have hung out in downtown on the sidewalk, but instead I chose out in a rural area under a bridge. Okay, what was the second point?
The one about the doc, the cancer with the doc the third time, and what you
Oh,
did
the third time.
what you
Oh,
did for a profession.
oh, what I did for a profession. Well, I was a pediatric nurse. One of the best things about being a pediatric nurse is that kids want to live. They want to live till the end, and there's none of this "oh, woe is me" kind of stuff. They want to play. And one of the best things that happened was I had been treating this young boy for severe burns on his abdomen, and that meant changing his dressings a couple times a week. And the poor child went through excruciating pain. He was maybe 6 at the time, and then I saw he and his father in Home Depot maybe 5 years later, and the father was so excited to see me, and he wanted me to see how the boy had healed, and like, oh, Jimmy, don't you remember, this is the nurse that did. And he had no clue. He did not remember. And that was the best thing. The father was embarrassed, and I'm like, please, no, I did not leave such a horrible memory in this young boy's mind that he remembers me as the bad nurse. um, and that's the best thing. That was the best compliment ever. uh, and then for my cancer, well, the first 2 times I had to argue with them about, I'm not doing your chemotherapy, I don't want to do your path of what you call healing. And they said horrible things to me, but I understood that it was Western medicine, and that was their training. But when a doctor is yelling at you and screaming at you that if you don't follow their advice, that's your certain death. And then you stick with your gut. You know that you're going to be fine. If you do your thing, and if not, well, then it's on me. But this last time, there was such a difference. I didn't want to go in and have to argue with the doctors. I did not. That was worse than actually dealing with the cancer itself. Um, and so when I went in, things have changed enough to where, I was like, well, I'm not taking your chemotherapy. And I expected him to come back at me with a barrage of, you're going to die, you don't know what you're doing, are you being stupid, blah blah blah. Instead, he was just like, well, then I can't treat you. And he turned on his heel and he left. And I was like, okay, bye. Thanks. See ya. And then the doctor, my surgeon, who was different than the oncologist that said he couldn't treat me after that. My surgeon, a year later is like, congratulations, you are a survivor. And that was the first time I'd heard that, because I didn't have that follow-up care from the medical industry that I did this time. And yeah, that was great, because the nurse practitioner there was absolutely wonderful. She was willing to help me with any blood work I needed, help me interpret it. And yeah, I'll see her for the next 4 years as well. So it's all good. Okay, next point.
So what? It's nice. So what are some of the different things? Before I want to ask about surfing, because I just, I love to surf. And what are some of the different things? I know you said the breathing's been so helpful. The last, I think I don't know how many years you've been doing the breathing now. 5, I think, maybe.
No, I started in like 2013, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 11. I'm sorry. 11 years.
Yeah.
So you've been doing the breathing, and what else were you doing over the years that have helped? That the breathing, Sudarshan Kriya, amazing. It changed my life. It got me sober and helped me deal with so many things. I do it every day for 22 years, I think now, and it's why we're talking, because of Sudarshan Kriya and Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. So very blessed to have those in my life. So what are some other things that you've done over the years that have brought you peace and joy and been able to connect and choose happiness?
I have learned to not engage Um, you know, there are people out there that just want an argument, that just want to stir up the pot as it is. And I kind of giggle and realize that that's their choice. In as much as, and I learned that early. I learned that while I was still in the military, that people have a choice. And again, that whole thing of choice, it comes back. But I've learned to not engage. I don't have to jump into their argument pool or their pity pool or their drama production. I can walk away, you know, and I can walk away. There's so much power in silence, you know, and it might not be evident to the other people that I'm necessarily walking away from, but they're frustrated in that I'm not engaging with them and following them into their drama pool. Having four older sisters, I have one that just loves to argue. In as much as I love to surf and get that adrenaline rush when I drop in on the wave, she loves to argue. And when people get red in the face and argue back with her, she'll change her stance and all this other stuff. So it's like I learned early on, just do not engage, maintain your own peace, maintain your own integrity, your ethics, values, morals, and don't let them drag you down. I mean, even a windstorm, a heavy hurricane coming, you can be frightened and cower in the corner, or you can watch the trees dance. So yeah, do not engage in the negative and the fear. And yeah, I mean, even when I was crying and I couldn't speak a sentence without breaking into tears because of my PTSD and everything else. I was still seeking tools. I just needed the tool to help myself deal with it. And yeah, I feel so empowered these days, especially with the videos that Project Welcome Home Troops put up. It's just great, for to really help me get away from.
Which videos are those, Edie? I don't know which ones you're talking about.
On it's like an after the, I forget the title, but it's after the course.
Mm-hmm.
There's one, you've got one on yoga. There's another guy that's got a yoga one, and then there's a couple of and a gal that's got a short yoga one, and then Leslie has two or three breathing ones.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right. So what about surfing? So tell me, you're Southern California born and raised, and then live in Hawaii. I live in Nova Scotia, and we have surfing here. I didn't start surfing till the pandemic. I think I've ridden 5 waves in 5 years, and I've tell everyone I couldn't love something more that I suck at so bad. And just going to the ocean every time is great. I broke my ankle 3 months ago, so I haven't been able to go, and it really bothers me. But just getting back into it now, so I'm going to go soon. So what's your relationship with surfing, and a bit about your dad? I think your dad built boards, and I think there's some over your left-hand shoulder. There's some boards behind you, and just talk about the relationship with surfing, because it's so romantic. Hawaii is surfing for most people, and SoCal is, a lot of surfing, and you have that surfer vibe. Even your intonation of voice almost sounds like, what the movies portray as like a surfer. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying it's what's portrayed. So just tell a little about that. Just to make me jealous, or I'm just teasing, but to make people understand that your relationship with the ocean and surfing and your journey with that.
I started surfing when I was 6. Before that, we'd go to the beach and I'd be in the water, and I would always cry when they would drag me out of the water. But surfing is the greatest addiction that I've ever had, and I feel so grateful to have been born in this time where it's not illegal.
It was illegal?
Yeah, in Hawaii it was illegal for a while. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Serious. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. How come?
Because when the missionaries came over, it was it was not enough clothes were being worn. People were having joy and not working. And, there was a whole different mindset with the missionaries of being contemplative labor. And surfing was pure joy, and that's what I see it as, pure joy. And in Southern California, there were so many beaches. At one point in Oceanside, I surfed from the pier south for a mile, just going right, and then back to the pier doing only lefts on all the little sandbars, and that was so many beaches and so many breaks. Yeah. And, for my college graduation, I bought myself a surfboard with the money. That was another thing. When I went to college after the military, I would go to school for 6 months and then I would work for 6 months because I didn't like to have my mind split up. If I was going to study, I was going to study. If I was going to work, I was going to work and save. And so I went all around the United States. I did some time in Rhode Island, Boston, Florida, Georgia, Arizona, and then back to San Diego. And then I finished off at this small private university called the University of Redlands with a student body of like less than 3,000. But that meant that the lab classes, you were able to ask questions. In the larger universities, you could schedule an appointment with your professor for 5 minutes to ask a question. And at this school, you could ask a question in the middle of lab, So I learned a lot by traveling around doing that. Yeah. Let's see. And surfing is, when I was nursing, it was great because I worked with a doctor that liked to take time off too. So that's how I really got started, taking the 3 months off and coming to the islands instead of just 1 month. And I could surf before work. I could surf at lunch. I could surf after work. And it was just a great balancing exercise for me. You don't need anybody else to go surf. You don't even really need any waves. You can just paddle. Yeah. Some of my biggest waves have been in Southern California, and during giant swells when other people would not go out, but I don't know. I didn't really fear it. I found my line going through the following the rip out and catching the wave back in. And yeah, surfing's been really, really good to me. And the lifestyle of wearing tank tops and surf trunks is something that I still do. And I mean, that's my wardrobe. And let's see. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask two questions on that. What's the biggest one you've ever like ridden? Like legit, like not like what's the biggest one and like to put this into perspective that someone's never surfed, like 4 or 5 feet literally would seem like that Mount Everest when you're first starting. So what's the biggest one you've ever ridden? And then secondly, what's the most spiritual experience you've had? Like you had your near death experience when you were 15. What's the most spiritual experience you had surfing, if you can remember?
The largest wave was at a place called Church, just offshore of Camp Pendleton in North County, San Diego. And it was a day when most people were not going out. Very, very few people were going out. And the wave was, I'd say 25 to 28 foot face. And I caught 3 of them that morning, and I was satisfied. I didn't. What happened is somebody else paddled out, and then I saw them on the wave after, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing out here, Edie? Oh my God!" Yeah. So then I caught one more and came in. The most spiritual experience, I got run over at a place called Swami's. A friend of mine didn't have his contacts in, and he was a really good surfer, and he was doing like a roundhouse cutback only he misjudged and he hit my head. And I went down, and when I came to, the eelgrass was like gently just petting my cheeks. And I had been a lifeguard before, so I was like, oh, fingers and toes, check in, check in. And they weren't checking in. So I was like, okay, just arch your back. So when you float up and your face is up instead of being face down. And before I got to the top, I could see all these guys paddling towards me from all different directions. And then somebody grabbed my hair, and I came up and I could breathe. But man, I could not think after that for, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months. I was like just even going and doing a child's weight, yeah, to add the 50 pounds to the 30 pounds. I couldn't figure it out. And my doctor was like, you need to go take a vacation. So that was another spiritual moment, in that I can still feel the eelgrass on my cheeks. And that was another chance to make choices, you know? So instead of just taking a break and hanging out in Southern California, which was wonderful, I came to Hawaii again and spent the time over here in warm water. Yeah, recovering. See, when I come to Hawaii, or when I was coming to Hawaii, I would surf Oahu, I would surf Maui, I would surf Kauai, and then I would come to the Big Island to listen to music on the southeast side. And
Why
just
is
kind of,
that? Why would you come here there for music?
it was the most pure music and the best vibe I'd ever felt. It's like, Oahu is kind of like the Disneyland for surfers. Kauai is a little less fast paced, but it's small, and you still can't really get away from the buzz of the beehive
Okay.
of energy that comes with surfing. And same with Maui. But here it's such a large island that the vibe is just immediately slow and serene, and nobody's in a rush. And the music was just so pure. It was a family of 9, and they would play on their porch. They didn't have any electricity. And I was able to, like, it was almost at the end of the road. So I was able to, like, grab a burger or something and listen to music through this hedge from their family. And then one of the boys invited me over to listen. And so just come for a couple days to kind of detox from the rest of it before I went back to California to work. Yeah. That's why I always came here. That's how I ended up coming back here. Yeah. The grandkids wanted to move here and with their mom, and my husband and I, he had been here and lived in Captain Cook and surfed the other side of the island back in the 70s after he got out of the military. And I was like, oh yeah, we can do that. Easy. I know that area. We can do that. So, yeah. When we had the chance, we moved over here. He never worked again. I worked at like an orchid cloning lab. I worked at the local health food store. I worked at a nursery. Yeah. And a lot of people, when he passed, they were like, oh, so you're going to move back to California? You're going to move? And it's like, no, I have the perfect spot here to heal and nurture my soul and spirit. And here I am.
So beautiful. Thanks, Edie. So I want to ask two more things. I
Feel free.
think two, but maybe just one. We'll see how it happens. But what would you say to someone that's struggling, that's listening to this? Those people that come and they want to talk to you, those people that are really struggling. What do you say to them?
I just try to remind them that this too will pass. I have a friend that calls me every day, sometimes 5, 6 times a day. She was in a bicycle accident when she was 12, and she crushed her skull and had 13 pieces. And she still has a 2-finger wide soft spot from her crown down to the back of her neck. And she just gets confused. She gets in that loop, in that wound up, everybody's against me. What am I going to do? I feel overwhelmed. And a lot of times, most of the time, if I just talk in a calm voice and let her vent and then point out a few things of not to blame her, like, oh, well, these were your choices. You did this, you did that. No, but let her know that right here, right now, is a chance to start again. You can always just start again, no matter what. And yes, it might seem like you're overwhelmed. Yes, the world might seem like it's against you. But right here, right now, what do you have? You have this little bubble that's around you. You have your daughter, you have your dog. Just concentrate on that. I know she studied some botany, so I try to remind her to just look at the trees, see how you remember the stoma on the bottom of the trees and leaves, and how the trees breathe, and it sounds simple, but it helps them focus not just on the forest, but on the leaf, and then on the stoma on the bottom of the leaf. And that is what it's all about, the getting down to the bubble around you, not all the people and all the noise that's irritating you and pissing you off. And it's yeah, it's hard, it's not easy, but that's where the breathing comes in and has really helped me focus. Sometimes I go into the doctor and I get that white coat blood pressure rise, and then if I can just do the alternate nostril breathing, my blood pressure will drop 20 points or more. And it makes a huge difference just in trying to remember it's just me. It is my choice, how I take it right here, right now. The problems, the bullshit is still going to be there in 20 minutes, in an hour. But, maybe I'll have a fresher look, perspective, attitude towards the problem when I go back to it. And that's why naps, I take lots of naps. I enjoy naps. I used to seek out great spots for naps, picnic tables in a beautiful park. Just take a quick nap. Why? Because everything's fresher after that. Everything has got a new perspective. Yeah. And I breathe before I go to sleep. So concentrate on, what's going good. And it sounds corny. Oh, find the gratitude and be grateful for this. But you either concentrate on the problems, or you concentrate on the good. And why concentrate on the problems? They're just problems, and you're just gonna make them worse every time you give that energy to it. We are all just made up of electrons, of atoms, and by the grace of whatever higher power, all these electrons and molecules are hanging out in this physical form. I mean, I still look at my fingers and I'm like, wow, these things work. It's just amazing that they're mine. The same with the feet. Yeah, it's just like, oh. And then I look at a cat and it's just amazing. Yeah, but we're all one. I don't know. Their energy, her energy is my energy. I give my energy back to my friend who calls me too many times a day, but she's just seeking help. A lot of times, she'll, at the end of the day, she'll call and she just needs to hear my voice so she can go to sleep, and yeah, I don't know. What do you say to people who feel like they're on the edge and being kicked over? Find a tool. Find a tool, put it in your back pocket, and bring it out every time you need it. And for me, that's the breathing. Something as simple and easy as the alternate nostril. And that's something I can do when I'm out in the surf and not bother anybody. Like at one point, one of the teachers that I was having with the breathing told me to do like a breath where it was like, but that scares people. When you're surfing next to them, they're like, oh, what is up with her? Yeah. So, the alternate nostril, I can act like I'm just, I don't know, clearing my nose or something, but it's real quiet. It's real private. Yeah. Find whatever tool works for you. If that's a book that puts you in somebody else's adventure, do it. And I read this book one time, Laughter's the Best Medicine. I forget the author right now, but I can see his face. And it's true. When you laugh, physiologically, things happen in your system that put the good chemicals in your bloodstream that help you heal. And yeah, you say you broke your ankle. I broke both of my ankles, 3 years apart, and every step is painful. And the doctors were like, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not in a wheelchair." And it's like, well, that's just not an option. You just walk through the pain. Pain means you're alive. If you're not experiencing pain, you're not alive. That's what this earth seems to be about. And with that pain, you can go on the opposite side and find that much joy. So, again, the pain is going to come. The broken ankles are going to come, but it's your choice to laugh through it and push through the pain, or not. Yeah. But like there's times like the other day I went down by Reed's Bay, which is this big bay down in Hilo, and my ankles were killing me, so I didn't take my stand-up paddleboard with me to go paddleboarding because my ankles hurt too bad. But when I got there, I went for a walk. Why? Why not? They're hurting already. Keep going. Enjoy the day. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. So, Edie, you said what we're going to talk about. Now we've gone 42 minutes already. See, there's
great.
So good. So, yeah, that's so beautiful. I think I could ask you about so many more things, but I think that's enough for this time. Hopefully I get to do this with you again. If people have some questions, they can send them in. I can ask more specific questions, but just the story about your near-death experience, your choice, getting over cancer 3 times. And I just like what you just said about the pain. That was really profound as well. Like it's there anyway. And
yeah.
So
it's gonna come, guaranteed. It'll be back.
Yeah, there's something gonna happen.
Yeah, but you can either just then I just made myself a point. You can either laugh about it, you're gonna go, "Oh, my ankles always hurt, always." It's like, yeah, so what?
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I've been limping around, and people are like, "Is it hurt?" I'm like, "I don't care anymore. Like, it doesn't matter." Like, so, like, I need to work out. I got to move because I did rest it for a few months because it felt like that was what was when I was praying. It was like, you need to rest. You need to kind of take a break and just be a little more grateful for all the stuff you have with your movement. And then one day it was like, okay, get off the couch. Like, now move. And now, so I got up this morning and I used to be able to rip out 100 push-ups, 10 sets of 10. I got really good at it over a couple of years. And this morning I did 70, like 10 sets of 7. And oh my God, the 7th set, I was like, my body was like, stop, like, please stop, please stop. So it was just, that for me, that's really nice though, because I didn't realize I gotten quite good at doing push-ups. And now it's like, I'm back to kind of like kindergarten. Well, not even maybe grade 2 or 3. But it's nice. And I got a little pain. I'm limping a little bit, but I'll play basketball tomorrow. And then I'm really hoping to get back on that surfboard soon. It's just, it's just right now is when I'm free to surf the waves, there's no waves. And then when I'm not whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's no waves right now when I'm available, but I'm going to get out soon. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Well, take a trip to the ocean, I mean, and I mean, like Hawaii, not like Nova Scotia. If you have a few days, if you have a week, do it, just go to the surfers Disneyland and surf some waves and then go back, and you just so recharged. And yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Surfers, that's which one's that? Ohio, I don't know which one. That Maui? Oahu. That's the. Oh, would you tell everybody what? This will be the last thing for today. Will you tell everyone what aloha means? Because I didn't understand when we were talking last week. I thought it, like, I did this and I thought I was being, and you were like, or whatever. It was like, I didn't understand the significance of aloha. So what does aloha mean?
It can mean hello and goodbye, but it means hello with love and goodbye with love. Like they also say, ahuiho malama pono, which means I'll see you later. Um, but also, malama is to cherish or to do right, and pono is to make sure you're doing right. So ahuiho malama pono means I'll see you later, but until then, cherish life and do the right things. And aloha is goodbye with love, hello with love, and the way you say it is not like, oh, aloha. No, it's aloha, like ha is the breath of life. Yeah. So you're saying aloha, you know, yeah. With my heart, I love you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Edie, for all your time. Anything else you want to say before we end? Thank you so much.
Um, have a beautiful day.
Aloha.
Aloha.